Conversations gang. How are we all doing today? Welcome to another interesting episode. And today we will be discussing a very important topic that you would need to have a seat. Invite your friends, your neighbors, everyone around you to listen and watch this because we're going to learn a lot. All right. Today we'll be discussing communication in relationship. We have a very important guest in the house. He's a relationship expert, is a coach, a life coach, and we will be sharing with us from his well of wisdom. Join me and welcome Mr. ADENIYI BAMIDELE on this beautiful episode. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. If you know what I need to have Mr. ADENIYI BAMIDELE on this seat today, no, you. All right, you're welcome once again, sir.
Once again, thank you for having me.
Oh, beautiful. So, are we ready? Let's delve deeply into the topic, communication in relationship. According to research, Mr. ADENIYI, according to research, people tend to exhibit some communication skills when they pay attention to their spouses when they speak. Some rather listen to respond and some listen to understand. Now, since we're discussing communication, what do you think a basic communication should be like in a relationship?
Well, to answer that question, I think it's important to understand first and foremost how important communication or effective communication is in any kind of relationship, be it a romantic relationship, which I believe is the crux of this discussion.
Yes, sir.
Or even between parents and children or friends. Or, communication is the basis of everything, without which there will be no us. It is the foundation of everything. It is the core of everything. And I would like to use an onion to describe the importance of communication in relationship. When you look at an onion, you discover that it's in layers. And most of the time, the most important layer of the onion is the outer layer. You ask me why that is the case. It is the case because it is the portion of the onion that protects everything inside. Nothing works without effective communication in relationship. And, you know, the statistics of divorce in the world today bears credence to the fact that our communication skills as a people in our relationship is failing. So it is important for us to have that understanding of how important communication is. Not even only in romantic relationship. How about your work as well? Some people find it very difficult to effectively communicate, even in the place of work, with friends, with team members and things like that. If you can't do that, you find yourself at the back bench. So it is important for us all, before we start diving into what is and what not about communication, to really, really understand that communication is the core that holds everything together. Love is important in relationship. Empathy is important in relationship. You know, understanding is important in relationship, and so many other things. But all of these things I've mentioned would make no sense without effective communication.
Really, like you said, communication is the foundation of all relationships. So I wonder how some couple or people in relationship goes weeks, days without talking to each other, without communicating with each other. So is it normal? Now, the question is it normal for, let me streamline now, to a couple not to talk to each other for days and weeks? Is it normal? Is that part of communication as well?
It's absolutely ridiculous and terribly abnormal. Terribly, I would repeat that, terribly abnormal. You see, you need to understand one thing about us as a creation of God. We're a product of communication.
Good.
When God was going to create us, he said, come, let us make man. He was talking he was having a conversation. So you discover that we were not actually made to be by ourselves alone. We're a product of communication. It was a conversation that brought us about. And therefore, it takes conversation to keep us going. And if you have a family or you have friends, and particularly, let's actually narrow it down to romantic relationship, for example, in a home. How could you be in a house, 4 walls, with someone, and for days, you are not talking? I believe you must be possessed by something I really can't explain. It is important for people that are in a relationship to actively engage in effective communication. Each of us are like sounding board to each other. See, when we are in a relationship or we find ourselves in a situation of relationship, we need to understand the atmosphere in which we subsist. And the only way we do that is by using the other person as a sounding board to understand, how is she doing? How am I doing? How is my action affecting her? How is her action affecting me? You want to know, am I creating an enabling environment for both of us to grow, to develop, to be happy? Is there something I need to change and things like that? That is what communication does to a relationship. And so if you have 2 people who are not talking and are within the same space, I think they need some psychiatric examination to just, to rule out some things, to be sure that something else is not happening. They should talk. If they will not talk, they shouldn't be together. Yeah. I'm sorry I'm a bit blunt, but that's how it should be.
Communication is very important in every relationship. It's the foundation of all relationship. So now, if you're really going through that stage, if you are in that situation and you're experiencing what we're discussing right now, and you would need, if you need like a coach to talk to, or you need a therapy session, or you need to speak to a counselor, please send an email to conversationswithomo@gmail.com. conversationswithomo@gmail.com, and we will link you up with a good therapist and a counselor that can help you out with this. Communication is key, and if you're finding it hard to do in your relationship, you really need help. You really need to speak up. You really need to see someone that can really help you out. We'll be back. Stay tuned.
Hi, everyone. Keep watching Conversations with Omobola.
Welcome back. It's still Conversations with Omobola, and we are discussing communication in relationship. And with me today, I still have Mr. ADENIYI BAMIDELE in the house to discuss this with us. Mr. ADENIYI, I believe communication shouldn't be verbal alone.
It isn't.
So, what other ways can we communicate more, be a better communicator with our spouses?
Well, I think we need to understand, we all need to really understand the fact that everything we do is sending out a message. Your action, your body language, the things you did not say, the things you think about and you have not said out affects how you react or how you behave. And so sometimes even when you don't give words to your thought, you are still communicating. So I would say that communication can either be verbal or non-verbal. And in some cases, even the non-verbal goes further in actually revealing our intention more than verbal. In some cases, it does that. You need to understand that. Take, for example, before I even say that, we also need to realize, let me paint this picture. If you have ever used a transistor radio before, you need to be on the frequency at which a radio station is transmitting for you to get signals. If you like, keep winding it. As long as you are not on that frequency, you will not be able to hear what they are saying. But they are saying something. It's in the air. It's everywhere. The waves are hitting you everywhere. However, for you to hear and understand what is being said, you need to tune in. The same thing applies to communication in relationship. You getting me now?
Yes, sir.
The same thing applies. It is important for two adults in a relationship, especially romantic relationship, to be on the same frequency. If they are not, they will not be able to hear each other. And so, like I said earlier, having understood the fact that communication can be verbal and non-verbal, so it is important for us to pay attention to our words and our body languages.
It is very important for us to pay attention to our words and body languages. What about approach?
Yeah, that's part of it. The reason why I mentioned those two is to tie it down to verbal and non-verbal. The mood also plays a part in having an effective communication and developing a good relationship. You know, approach also matters. You know, how do you put forward your intent to your partner in a relationship? Do you come forth as being, you know, aggressive? Are you coming forth as being wanting to win a conversation? You know, in most cases you discover that when we say we are actually listening, we are listening just to be able to score a point. We're just waiting for our turn to let them know that, look, I'll shut you down. And I'll shut you down in a magical way. We are waiting for our own turn. That is not how to build a good and effective communication in a relationship. Don't set out to win an argument in your communication in a relationship. You don't have to do that. Once you begin to do that, you put the other party in a defensive mode. And then you can't get anything good out of your conversation. So you need to be aware of that. And not just aware of that, it should not only be an action, it should become a behavior. In your, what I mean is, it shouldn't be a one-time thing. It should become part of you to always want to engage your partner in a productive way, where you give them the opportunity to listen carefully, confirm what you are saying, and respond adequately.
That's from a deep side of it. To my own understanding, I feel that a strong and healthy relationship is built on 3 C's. 1, communication. 2, compromise. And 3, commitment. So and we're discussing the first one, which is very important in all relationship, is communication today. So, and I feel that communication is a way, it allows someone to express themselves effectively, their opinions, their views, their expectations. So, but there are some things, Mr. ADENIYI, what do you think might be the cause of poor communication in a relationship?
Okay, we just mentioned one, and I may not have put it in a single word, but if I am to put it in a single word, it will be ego. Ego. You see, ego destroys communication. It destroys the impact that good communication can have in a relationship. Like I said, effective communication is the core of everything. Without it, nothing happens. You can't get anything good out of a relationship if you guys cannot interact on the same frequency. It is not just possible. You'll be deceiving yourself if you think a relationship is going to work out well without effective communication. No matter how much love you want to put into that, I can assure you, love is not everything in a relationship. I've been there. It's my 13th year now, going strong.
Wow.
And I can tell you that love is not everything. Listen, it is not. It goes far beyond that. Part of what makes love work is effective communication. That was why I use onion as a depiction of how to understand this. As beautiful and tasty as the core of onion is, you still need to peel back that last part, before you get access to that sweet core of it. If you want the best of your relationship, you really need to pay attention to the core, the covering that makes everything work. Once you peel back that last layer, you discover that the core becomes exposed, yeah? And if you don't pay attention, you might start losing that. You get the point now? So ego is one important killer of good communication. And what is ego? Me, I, and myself alone. You just want to have your way, even when you are wrong. You just want to have your way. You want to have last say, you know. And it's not right. It's not right. You mentioned something before asking that question, and the word compromise comes in. I think one thing I have learned in my journey in my relationship is the power of sorry. I have really, you know, sometimes I make my wife really so mad, and, you know, she's like, she comes through with that. And I didn't realize it. I didn't know. Do you know you can really hurt someone without really knowing you are stepping on their toes? You can do that.
Sure.
And I never understood how powerful sorry is until I found myself in a situation where I had to say it, and I had to say it from the deepest part of my heart. I am sorry. I didn't know. I didn't know I was hurting you. I am really, really so sorry. It's a balm. It heals. So compromise, you discover that not many people have the temerity to compromise. They must always win. And if you have that attitude in relationship, you are going nowhere. You are going nowhere. Relationship is not a competition. You don't need that attitude in relationship. You really don't. Relationship is a complementation. You are complementing and supplementing each other. Okay? It's not a competition. So if you come with the attitude of ego and not wanting to compromise, you discover that you will not be able, you will have your way. You may have your way, but you will not get the best out of your partner. You won't.
Wow, it's been an interesting time on a conversation with Omobola today. You too, you can be a witness to it. Like I said earlier, if you need a counselor, if you need to speak with a counselor, kindly send an email to conversationwithomo@gmail.com. Conversationwithomo@gmail.com, and we'll link you up with the experts that can help you, that can walk with you in this journey. You said the word please sorry is a very strong word. Now, I want to add two more. Please, sorry, thank you goes a long way in your dealings with people, not only in relationship right now. The magic words, please, sorry, thank you, makes your communication very smooth and easy in all things that you do. We really do not have much time on this episode. We would have gone on and on and on and on and on. But before we go, Mr. ADENIYI, please, your word of advice to all our viewers watching right now, that how to be a better communicator in everything, in everywhere that you are in your relationship. Just give us one word to round this episode up.
I would say be an active listener. You see, and what that means is don't listen to respond, listen to understand. Listen to really get what the person is saying. Most of us, when we listen so that we can just respond without fully understanding, getting the crux of the information that is being passed to us. Be an active listener. You know, even the scripture says that we should be slow to hearing. Is that not what the Bible says? I mean, quick to hearing, but slow to speaking. You know, I mean, digest the information that is being passed across. If you could as well just ask the question, look, I believe this is what they are saying. I just want to be sure so I am able to respond effectively to what you have said. You know, you are confirming what the person has said so that you can respond effectively. That is what I would say. There are so many others, but one word, be an active listener.
Okay. As we're rounding off right now, one of our followers just sent a question in, and I would really like to ask our guest before we round off. Now, what if you're in a situation whereby your partner is not a good communicator? You're having a difficulty. You're ready to listen to understand, but your partner or your spouse is a bad communicator. How can you handle that in your
Well, the
relationship?
first thing is we should understand that you can, effective communication is a learned virtue. You can learn it. You can put yourself in a situation where you learn how to be a good communicator. But it all starts with first identifying the fact that you need help. You understand? And what I've come to realize in most cases, especially for someone who is full of ego and is not willing to compromise, they don't even think they need help in the first place. So if you find yourself in a situation like that, the first thing is to help the person to understand that life could be better. Life together, myself and you, could be a lot better if you understand the power of effective communication. So far, we've done well, but if given better chance, we could do even more. We could do better if you allow yourself, and probably myself, and I'm going to be here with you to go through the process of learning the art of being a good communicator. We can do it. We can visit, you know, a counselor, to speak to a counselor to get help. You know, people tend to feel a bit awkward asking for help. I don't know, but you cannot be better without asking for help when you need it. You must be able to swallow your pride, your ego, and be able to meet your partner halfway and say, you know what, I understand what you are saying. I don't know what is wrong with me, but I think I could do better if I find myself in a place where I can learn, you know, how to be a good communicator. And I'll need your support to do that. You know? So don't just dump the person there. Be there with them to help them. And what I've come to realize is when a partner going through crisis like that sees their fellow partner in the crisis with them, there is that impetus in them to just keep pushing until they achieve the goal and the aim. If you just dump them there and leave, I don't know how that is going to work, but be part of the solution with that person. I think that would help.
Yes, be part of your spouse's solution and be
Yes,
to get
it's very important.
Yes, to be a better communicator. And sorry, you want to say something?
I just want to quickly add, you mentioned something when you added thank you to, just like sorry, thank you has some, I can't explain, but I would use myself as an example. I work in a very, very busy situation when we have, a very busy environment, especially when we have contracts to deal with. And the situation is such that if it is not properly dealt with, we could find ourselves in litigation, going to court.
Wow.
So we are under pressure. And sometimes I have to go the extra mile to make sure that all risks are covered and the costs attached are also covered. You understand? And sometimes you go through all this, and then you come out and nobody seems to appreciate the effort you have put in to make everybody put everybody in a comfortable situation. You know how that makes you feel? Nobody recognizes your effort.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks you are doing anything worthwhile. You feel like you are worth nothing and things like that. I tell you, but there was a time when I had a boss that understood what it took to make everybody be in a comfortable position when it comes to contracts.
Wow.
And all he said was, Ade, thank you. I see everything.
Ooh.
That changed. I can't explain how that made me feel. It felt as if finally someone knew and saw it. So do not underestimate the power of thank you. Ever since I got married, I formed the habit of always saying thank you for every meal I eat from the hand of my wife. And I didn't know that that was really, really reaching out to her until she made mention to me one day, why do you always say thank you? And I'm like, what do you mean? Shouldn't I be saying thank you? And she told me, she said, you really don't know how much that word means to me.
Wow. Wow.
So I don't take, for some people, they would say, oh, that's her duty to cook the food and get me fed, something like that. Well, you consider it her duty, good, but at least say thank you.
Say thank you. I'm also a witness. Anytime my husband says thank you to me, I feel so loved. I feel so on top of the world, really. It means a lot to us. So I was telling you, whatever situation you find yourself, in whatever might be going through in your marriages right now, you can still make it work. You can still do that communication. You can still have that communication with your spouse. Don't think it's undoable. It is doable, and it is possible for you to have an heaven on earth marriage by being a good communicator. So from my table, from my desk here, I'll tell you, before you jump into that conclusion, have that conversation. Before you assuming wrongly, have that conversation. Before you share anything with a third party, make sure you have that conversation with your spouse or any individual involved, okay? Because so many issues in our relationships and marriage are major issues because we refuse to have that conversation in the first place. So let's talk it out. Let's come together. Let's come back to the drawing board, which is the foundation. Even before you met your wife, when you were toasting your wife or whatever, there was a communication. You communicated. So let's go back to that drawing board and let's bring back that moment that we'll sit and we'll discuss as one family. So that's from us today. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Hope you've been able to learn one or two things. And if you need help, you need to see a counselor, please kindly send an email again to conversationswithomor@gmail.com. Till we come your way next, stay tuned, stay connected, and keep watching Conversations with Omobola. Thank you once again, Mr. ADENIYI BAMIDELE, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All
it's
right.
a pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. All right, bye.
What are you waiting for? Keep watching Conversations with Bola. Do it right now.
Keep watching Conversations with Omobola. God bless you.